Hi, and welcome to Stitches and Spines. My name is Katie, and I have been learning and preparing to make my own handmade wardrobe for the past few years. You will learn very quickly that I am nothing if not inconsistent. I have many different interests, and I tend to hyperfixate on those, and then I might not come back to them for a few months. However, knitting has been a constant because it tends to relieve my stress instead of inducing it. So I would like to share some of the interests that I take up from time to time, but it will mostly fall under the two categories that I come back to again and again, which are making and reading. And I will do my best to label the timeline of this video, so if you are just here for one thing, you can find that more easily. So last year was not a great knitting year for me. I just wasn't very inspired. But here recently, some of that inspiration started coming back and a little bit of mania. But I knit the Wednesday sweater by Petite Knit. And I knit this in a worsted weight yarn in Cascade 220. I believe the colorway was charcoal or a charcoal gray. I chose it for its bulk, and I loved the side slits in the hem. It's not quite as bulky as I'd like, which is my fault because I made it in the medium size. I wanted to see how much I could block it because when I made the balloon sweater, it blocked at least 2 sizes bigger, and that wasn't the case here. But I'm going to leave it for now because I like it. It just fits like a normal sweater would, but I would definitely size up next time to get that full desired effect. I also have a finished crochet project. This is the Champagne Anarchist bag by Chloe Nightingale, and it is a free pattern in an Aran weight. I used the sugar and cream cotton in ecru, which I could just find at my local hobby store. I am really happy with this one. I would say don't take mine as the only example because I am such a novice. I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes, but I think even considering it still looks pretty great. It takes a fair amount of time. I picked it up here and there over the course of the past few months or so. I took some breaks because it just gets a little monotonous and it also kind of hurts my wrist. I think I just have a really tight tension when it comes to crochet because I really like the tight knit look. So I need to ease up on that or change my needle size. I think I also used a smaller needle than is preferred for this one. But I am really happy with this. The pattern was really great and easy to follow, and it gave you a lot of wiggle room to make modifications, whether you wanted it to be larger or smaller, or if you wanted to change the way that the straps looked. It was a great one. As a total beginner, I had no problems with this, so I would say if you were interested in it or you would just like a nice homemade accessory, I would go for it. Next, I have some works in progress that I've been working on. This one should be familiar. It is my sweater number 8 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And I have been using a fingering weight that I got from our local hobby store. It's the Yarn Bee hand-painted tonal. It has been months since I've got this actually, so I am not entirely sure what the colorway is, but I looked on the Ravelry page for it, and it looked like the closest color was the Iron Soot. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that was it. I thought it had something to do with storm, but those could be I don't trust my brain with that. So I'm not even sure if they still have it at our local store. I haven't been there in so long. So this might become a vest if I run out of yarn, but I'm okay with that. I'm actually kind of leaning that way. I think it'd be really nice with a long sleeve button down underneath it. It can be relaxing, but it's not the most fun to pick up, so I don't gravitate towards it. But I am really, really excited to have it finished, so I need to just buckle down and get back on it. Next up is one that I am also very excited about, and it is a Friday Sweater Mini by Petite Knit. I'm knitting this one for my son, and I cannot wait to have it done. It's entirely in rib knit as well, but because it's so small, it knits up so much faster, so it's a little more gratifying to work on. But I am mainly waiting for the yarn for this one. I am doing this in the Cascade 220 Super Wash Sport weight. And I am doing it in the colorways Aran, which is this cream color, and black. So I'm waiting for another ball of the black to come in, and then I hope to get this one off the needles quickly because he's also really excited to wear it. My next work in progress is also from my son, and that is a cuff to cuff pullover by Jennifer Hagen. I hope I'm saying that right. But this was another free pattern that I found, and it's in a worsted weight. So I decided to use some of my leftover sugar and cream cotton from my bag to make a more lightweight sweater that he will hopefully be able to wear in fall. It honestly doesn't get cold for very long here, so I'm trying to really work more cotton into my knitting, but I think this is a good start. I really like how it translates to this pattern. I like how nicely textured and construction of this sweater. I just think that complements it very nicely. And now this is an easy pattern, but I wouldn't call it a beginner pattern. I wouldn't do it as your first knit because she doesn't hold your hand, and it's a free pattern, so I don't expect it to be super educational. But with all of the resources that we have to learn about these techniques, there's really no need. I would say maybe start on a more beginner-friendly pattern, but if you know the basics of knitting and you want to learn some new techniques and you get to something that you don't quite understand, just Google it and you'll be fine, honestly. So I made yet another pair of Clyde pants. I made these from a cotton canvas that I ordered from Mood Fabric. I believe the colorway was wheat. I forgot to look that up, but I will try to find it and link it below. It's so much softer than the duck canvas that I originally bought at Joann Fabrics. And I think that I will have to try a jumpsuit maybe even in this colorway. I love everything about this fabric. The pants I still struggle with a bit. This is the best I've done so far with this pair of pants. This is the third time that I've sewn them. They are a utility pant. They really work for that. I haven't been able to quite find the balance between style and function. They do add a lot of bulk because the pockets are huge, which is awesome, but I'm still deciding if I like the way that they are sewn on. I don't mind it, and I don't think it's honestly going to be a big deal, but I do have problems with the crotch of these pants, just like the last time, except in this case, I think I got a lot closer to what I need, and instead of chopping anything off of the top and redoing the top, I think I can get by with altering the actual crotch line. It does make me nervous because I have not done that successfully yet, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm just going to do a lot of research and take my time before just jumping in and doing something this time. I also am wearing one of my other sewing finished projects, which is the Zero Waist Gather Dress by Birgitta Helmerson. This is made in a lightweight shirting fabric from Joann Fabric. I am really happy with how this turned out. It's super comfortable and it has a lot of room to play with modifications, which I will get into in a bit. And I plan on playing with this pattern a lot, seeing what I can accomplish from it, because I could make this in 100 different colors and 100 different ways. And I think it will become very useful to me as I begin getting more comfortable with drafting my own pieces as well. So out of this same zero waist dress pattern, I hacked it into a top, and I made it in this blue linen that I also got from Joann. I was going to just crop the pattern and make it into a shirt with the button bands and everything, But after I made this, I really enjoyed it, and I actually used it as a cover-up over my swimsuit for a little bit, but I liked how it looked, and I thought it would look really great just like over a t-shirt as well. So I decided to keep it for now, and it inspired me to make my first matching set. I have ogled many a matching set, and I knew it was time I made my own. So I used my free range slacks pattern to make a pair of shorts. And these need to be steamed terribly. They are both linen, so I have to steam them before every wear. The last time I used the free range pattern, I was making my first pair of pants, and so it did not go smoothly. And I took a break from it and moved into just hyper focusing on making Clyde pants. And after working on those so much and going back to the free range, I fell in love with the simplicity and how easily they came together and how well they worked. And now I have to make just some regular free range slacks because I need some basic pants that look nice, but they're super comfortable. I wore these on a trip home a while back, and I actually just slept in them because they were more comfortable than the pajama pants that I packed. So my future plans for sewing, besides more basic tops and pants, are definitely more matching sets. I love them. So it is that time of year again when I knit up the cardigan number 4 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I have shared a little bit about that before and how I have frogged it probably 3 times. There's always something, and it's either a weird mistake or I don't like the sizing and I've already gotten too far. And the last time I ran out of yarn before deciding that I didn't quite like the sleeves as big and as long as they were. So I ordered another ball of the Debbie Bliss Angel in stone, the stone colorway, and I have a feeling this is going to be it. It has to be it because I'm so done with this sweater, and it's actually not a bad knit. I enjoy knitting it. It's just one of those patterns that's a little more complicated. The designer definitely doesn't hold your hand, and you have to just really pay attention to what you're doing. I take things too literally sometimes, especially when I don't know a technique quite as well as I should, and I will make a silly mistake and go way too far to confidently rip back. I feel like I would be better at that now because my first problem with this pattern was making it one of my first knitting patterns when I wanted to learn a new technique every time, and I still like that, but this was not the one to start on. It's a bulky fisherman style knit holding 3 strands of mohair together, so it knits up really quickly, and it's not bad to do as long as you kind of know what you're doing. I would definitely use another raglan cardigan pattern that's a little more beginner friendly before jumping into one like this, but I'm much more confident now, and I'm not just terrified of ripping back like I was when I first started, and I can kind of sense if things don't quite look right, and I can see things in a more abstract way now. So I have a good feeling about this time. Hopefully it's done soon. I also ordered the yarn to make an Anna's cardigan my size by Petite Knit, and this is a raglan cardigan with an eyelet detail, which I'm hoping it will improve the actual knitting process because I would like just a simple lightweight cardigan in a stockinette stitch, but I think that will kind of help break up the pattern and make it easier to get through. I just ordered the beginnings of this project also in the Cascade 220 Superwash Sport in the color charcoal. The pattern calls for DK, but I was caught between sizes in the Cascade at the light worsted or sport, and I decided to go smaller because I tend to prefer a tighter knit. I may kick myself for that later, but that's future Katie's problem. I haven't been very adventurous in searching for patterns or new yarns as of late. I am a creature of habit, so when I find something that works, I usually cling to it. I don't like wasting time and money. So when I find something that works, I usually stick with it. But I would like to branch out a little more and try new things. Right now, I'm really just working on getting the basics in my wardrobe, because not doing much this last year is really showing now that, you know, I've had to put on real clothes again, and realizing that the majority of my clothes are pre-baby and it's not gonna fly. So I'm trying to get as many basics as I can so I can focus on some of the more fun projects in the future. So I've actually had a really great reading year in quality and quantity. I'm still not comfortable with making videos strictly about my reading, but I would still like a place to kind of share the highlights or what I really enjoy. So I will try to tack any of the reading stuff that I do here on the end. Something I started this year for fun was a book journal. I don't enjoy Goodreads, but I knew that I would forget what I'd read, so I thought I would try a new way of documenting. I still use online shelves for now because I want to journal as an outlet, and I don't want it to become a chore because it's definitely a mood thing. When it comes to actual reading, I've put more focus on literary works, including reading for the Women's Prize for fiction. I plan on talking about more when I finish the final book on the shortlist. I've also gained some new favorite authors this year, which is always super exciting. I started reading David Sedaris for the first time in January, and it provided a lot of much needed laughter. I also really gave poetry a go, which I've never done before, and my new favorite, Mary Oliver. I was particularly swept off my feet by Dreamwork. After a couple of her books, I thought I'd kind of gotten the gist of her writing, and she writes about nature beautifully, but I was not expecting her to intertwine her nature writing with trauma, and I was blown away by how she did it. It was very unexpected and became an instant favorite. I've also just recently gotten back into graphic novels, and after reading so much literary work, which can be quite slow-paced, it was really fun to get back into something that just moves at the speed of light. So that is all I have for you this time, and hopefully next time I see you sooner than later. Thanks for watching.